But the other thing that I'm really interested in is that you said on a couple of occasions already, and overnight I became an expert, which I love, because you see out there are so many people that, you know, feel this sense of imposter syndrome, not being quite ready yet to do a thing, and not quite, you know, feeling it's the right moment to try. And your story is beautiful because you just went there and did the thing, and then people at one point recognized you as an expert for it. And you might not necessarily have felt yourself an expert.
Plenty of times I didn't, but what was actually a real revelation to me going through that particular process was that I discovered in that particular organisation lots of people who'd been in career for a very long time, very trusted advisors to the CEO, many of whom were middle-aged white men in suits, some a little bit more than middle-aged as well, actually, but they were all trusted advisors. And I ended up working closely with a number of them through that process. And I realised that actually they didn't know a huge amount more than I did.
Going back to my story that I entered design with zero formal education, I struggled at least for the 5-7 years having the title designer or a design leader, because I kept thinking, and also early on in my career, a few people probably called out, "Oh, you're not a designer because you are a researcher. So why are you calling yourself a designer?" So I always struggled with that imposter syndrome. And I remember one of my mentors at the time, Cameron Rogers, he mentioned, Remya, some people are heads people, some people are hands people. You don't need to have design, interaction design, visual design background to bring the value of design to an organization or to the society. You are a heads person. Tap into your strength and don't worry about your weakness all the time.
Some of them had particular areas of expertise, but they were just making it up as they went along as well. I was teaching them about what a design agency was and why that was important, and they were learning from me. There was a legal advisor I worked with and a financial accountant that helped with the due diligence, and they were deep subject matter experts, and I leaned on them and we worked hard, the three of us. We drove that thing. But around us there was a whole entourage of people who were keen to be involved so that they could claim part of our success and contribute. I'm sure there was some valid contribution, but by and large they were all winging it as much as the rest of us.
This is a great learning point, I think, for everyone out there, because I know that a lot of designers really struggle with imposter syndrome and really struggle to operate from a perspective of strength rather than one of weakness. But what's your advice to the people out there that are experiencing the same problem?
If you're beginning in your career, you're early in your design journey, don't shy away from asking someone that you met at a conference or an event, or even LinkedIn. Reach out and say, "Hey, I came across your profile and here's the reason why I want to connect." I can assure you 7 out of 10 times that person will respond if you have been very intentional about why you're reaching out to them. So I just tapped into that networking and the power of connecting with people and constantly learning and evolving and applying that to my work or my personal life.
But the moment was walking into that ballroom, seeing the CEO sat on his own and nobody else sitting anywhere near him, and thinking, he's just a bloke. And why not? People. He's got as much reason to listen to what I've got to say for the next hour and a half as anyone else in the room. And probably a few years prior to that, I wouldn't have been the person to step into that space. But for some reason on that day, it seemed like the right thing to do. And I was really glad that I did.
It was a bit of a game changer for me. I know it's very simple, but up until that point, I was so focused on improving my weakness. And I was thinking of enrolling in a visual design course and really getting formally educated as a proper designer. But I realized that's not who I am. My strength is bringing a bunch of people together, rallying around a common vision and getting a massive amount of work done. That's who I am. And my superpower is bringing the best in people. I love building teams, creating them to high-performing teams and delivering amazing work. And I just started focusing on that. And then my career flourished because I was operating from a fear up until that point that, people is going to figure out that I'm not good at what I do. But then suddenly switching that to who am I and what my strength is really enabled me to unlock my full potential.
And so that really helped. We all get imposter syndrome from time to time, but when you realise that those people who present themselves as experts, sometimes, not always, there are people that have genuine expertise, but a lot of times there are people who are fronting it as well. Yeah. And it's quite nice to notice that.
Yeah.